On the back of Renard's old garage is a mural. That mural has hundreds of dog tags hung on it, dedicated to those who have passed away due to drug overdose. It's painted with a vibrant sunset behind a tree. Every Sunday, for 14 years, Renard spent time with those struggling with addiction and guided them through the slippery slope of drug use. And that same man has guided me through 14 years of my life. So who is Renard? The answer is my hero, my father. My father is the most accomplished person I know. He's left a tremendous impact on hundreds, if not thousands, of people. He pulled himself out of drug addiction when my sister was born and began with at Packard Institute a year before I was born. Since then, his journey has bloomed. He has reached many milestones, traveled the world, and expounded his knowledge to many others. Due to his persistence, charisma, and legacy, I'd like to dedicate this speech to my father. The first reason I'm talking about my father is his persistence. People usually think of persistence as carrying on a race, even though you're panting and exhausted. This is a bit ironic, because as well as running over 150 marathons and triathlons, he has been persistent in staying drug-free for 30 years for his children. My dad had a rough childhood. He was simply feral. And though he never was raised to be as prestigious and reputable, he managed to go to college, create an institute, and change lives. As well as persisting in building a life for himself, he's also kept his wild side safely tucked away, letting it show through a bit in his music taste and grand tales from when he was a punk rocker. My father owns the Packard Institute. The Packard Institute is a rehabilitation center for those who struggled with drug abuse. And after 15 long years with many affrays and tragedies, my dad has had a significant impact on everyone around him. The next attribute I admire about my father is his charisma. For as long as I can remember, my father has brought me along to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings where he'll share the many experiences he's had with addiction. Wherever we are, whether or not he's known, he always manages to make a ton of friends and fit in with everyone. My dad is very involved with the psychology community along with the recovery community. He's on multiple boards and often speaks up in front of huge crowds, which partly inspired me to join this public speaking course. May I also mention that my father did a TED Talk? How awesome is that? My father is very welcoming to anyone and everyone. He has many experiences that led to him being able to connect with everyone on at least one level. He's a skater, marathon runner, punk rocker, well-educated, recovery coach, teacher, and spiritual teacher. I told you, he has a lot going for him. The last reason I admire my father is the legacy he has left behind. As I mentioned before, my father started the Packard Institute, which started as a rehabilitation center and bloomed into so many other opportunities. As well as being a haven for those struggling with getting clean, it was also a spiritual place where people shared their feelings and realizations. My father hosted hikes, kayak trips, Florida trips, drum circles, powwows, and so many other great activities. He also offered one-on-one talks with people. A couple years back, he created recovery coaching schools where people could be certified by the state of Ohio to counsel others on substance abuse. And recently, I've overheard he's working to create a recovery high school, which will be an alternative school for teenagers who have struggled with drug use. Lastly, I aspire to go to school for business and psychology so I can take over the Packard Institute once my dad is ready to stop changing lives. My father has persisted in his recovery from substances, been a fun, charismatic person, and made many friends on the way, and has left behind a huge legacy and even an opportunity for me to step up and do the same thing, which is why I wanted to express my gratitude and love for him in this speech. That mural that I mentioned before remains at 1066 Emma Avenue, Akron, Ohio, just as my father's impact on thousands of people will remain forever. Questions?
I would like to know who owns some of these pictures.
These are all him.
So, yes. Do you want to say, kind of what was going on in the picture? But then, when we get to the other people in the pictures, too. So, how old or what you were doing here?
I am probably 17 there.
17?
Yeah. Yeah. This was in Venice, California, where I was sort of rolling with a group of skateboarders. A lot of people, we called it Dogtown, and in the popular media, it became sort of the zeitgeist of skateboarding of that time, Dogtown, Venice, California. And we were all of us were feral. street. Or we lived in a world that was almost without adult supervision. So we were wild, and the music was great. I gotta tell you, but we could have done with a little bit of people management at the time. But
Sure. So
this is also in Venice. This is in front of the Sidewalk Cafe. This is somewhat later, and this is I took my daughter Sonia back to Venice during this trip. I'm just now remembering.
Okay, because you look awfully young there too.
You look like David Hasselhoff.
You definitely Californian.
Yeah,
Typical, yeah.
Right, for sure. And then it's skating.
that is the Akron Skate Park. Actually, this is out behind the Rubber Bowl, and you notice the Goodyear Air Dock right there. But I am skating a J. Adams model Z Flex, and in fact, I ran with a group of guys they called the Z Boys, and there's actually a couple of feature films and documentaries about the Lords of Dogtown is one. The documentary is called Dogtown and Z Boys, which is a superior film in itself. It won the Cannes Best Documentary in 2002, I believe. Done by another one of the Z Boys, Stacy Peralta. But yeah, Jay had a saying, you don't quit skateboarding when you get old. You get old when you quit skateboarding. So,
And you're still going.
still going, yeah.
And then here.
This is my brother Don, my oldest brother. He is a former Green Beret and Vietnam veteran, and he is pinning his paratrooper wings on me. This is directly after I graduated jump school, airborne training at Fort Benning, Georgia. This would have been 1986.
Wow.
I know it's 1986 because our chant at the school was, we do push, 24-86, we do push-ups just for kicks. Airborne.
And then this is, well, is that, I missed it. There you go. Is that you?
Yeah.
I was a little bald baby.
Yeah.
Bald.
Wow.
Hillary Clinton.
Oh my god.
Hillary.
Yeah, where was this at?
That was at a rally in Akron on the left.
That's in Abbey Road. Does nobody recognize that?
That is
Wait,
the
right.
iconic Abbey Road.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was gonna
This-
say, it looked a bit
This,
Familiar.
Terry and I here actually biked across Suffolk to our family castle in Suffolk. And of course we had to stop in London at Abbey Road. So,
Of course. And you also play the guitar?
a little bit, yeah. Very poorly, but yes.
Hey, that's alright. Anybody else have questions for Lane?